What's going on, guys? This is Gainz Gaming. Today I am talking about my biggest regret commanders in Rise of Kingdoms. I've been playing for quite a long time. I've been playing for 1,871 days. I've made plenty of mistakes in Rise of Kingdoms, but today I'm talking about what commanders do I most regret investing legendary commander sculptures into, even if I didn't expertise them, because there are some commanders here that I put sculptures into that I didn't expertise, but I still wasted a lot of sculptures. Now, I am a sponsored content creator with Rise of Kingdoms, so if you do enjoy this content, make sure you like and subscribe to see more in the future. I greatly appreciate it. Completely free for you and helps me out tremendously. Now, like I said, I've been playing for a long time, and there are plenty of commanders that I have just wasted sculptures putting stuff into. And I would say the number one that people would probably guess is going to be Pakal. Now, Pakal, I expertised quite a while ago. You can see I expertised him almost exactly 2 years ago, about 1 year and 11 months ago, almost to the day. It is currently May 19th, and this is June 20th. So basically almost exactly 1 year and 11 months ago that I expertised Pakal. Now, I actually expertised him while live. I was pressured by Redline. He made a donation, and because I was just sick of being destroyed in the open field. And so I was like, I just want to city pop these guys. And Redline made a donation because I was joking about maxing Pakal, because I had tons of legendary commander sculptures. I probably had like 18 or 1900 that I wasn't putting in anything. And he was like, do it. He donated, I don't know, I don't even know how much it was, maybe 20 bucks. And I was like, you know what, Redline, just for you, I'm going to do it. So I expertised him, and it was fun while it lasted. I haven't used him in forever. He has 5 million kills, which is basically nothing for my commanders. But overall, I don't regret it because it was really fun. It was a good moment, good memory that I have of Pakal. Even though it was a waste of sculptures, I do think that overall, I thought it was fun. I thought it was really funny. People really enjoyed it, and it's a good memory to look back on. So personally, like, yeah, you can call it a waste, but for me, I enjoy it. I think it's funny to see, even though, like, if I could have those sculptures and put them into like Ashurbanipal or max out Guan or, tons of other things I could do with those sculptures, yeah, you can argue it was a waste, but for me, I think the memory is kind of funny. But that's an honorable mention. The next one I want to talk about here is Constantine. Now, Constantine, this one I might get some bad rep for, but Constantine, this is before I did YouTube. I just want to preface that. I won a couple of Mightiest Governors with him. You can see 440 sculptures from Mightiest Governor. He is a Mightiest Governor commander. And the reason why I got him in the first place was when I first started playing the game, my kingdom was overrun by a group of whales that came in and just started zeroing everybody. And I didn't really know how to play the game at that point. I was still relatively new, and I was just sick because all my friends got zeroed and I got attacked. I didn't get zeroed, but I got destroyed pretty good. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to steal the MGE. I'm going to steal the Mightiest Governor. And like I said, this is in 2021. So this is 4 years ago, more than 4 years ago. And so they had a fixed Mightiest Governor, and the overall score was like 4 million. It was nothing. And I was planning on migrating. I had a kingdom lined up. And so I took a farm account and parked it right next to my city. And with like 5 minutes to reset on the last day of Mightiest Governor, I went and I just loaded up like 10 million points. And I took first place in that Mightiest Governor. Won 180 heads, a ton of whales teleported around my city and were trying to attack me. But at that point, I shielded because I did it the smart way. I had my farm attack my main account, not my main attack my farm. So I didn't have War Frenzy, so I was able to just Peace Shield and then just dip out. But part of me feels bad because, that's a scummy thing to do. But at the same time, like at the time, I was just rebelling against a group that forcefully took over our kingdom and zeroed all my friends. So I was like, you know what? I'm leaving the kingdom, so I'm going to leave on a high note and take this Mightiest Governor and kind of give him a screw you on my way out. So I went and did that. Don't regret that whatsoever. That's another honorable mention, just a story I wanted to tell. I'm not sure how many people know that, but I have him at 5543, which is kind of crazy. I don't really know how I got more Mightiest Governors from him. I think that's just like getting some here and there. I think I actually got like around 100, probably like 80 in just a free-for-all Mightiest Governor in 1079. I'm pretty sure I got some there. You know, just kind of here and there got more sculptures, and then wasted like 15 gold heads, I think it says. Yeah, 15 gold heads that there's no reason I should have put more in there. I'm 3 skills away from another skill, but I don't need another skill into him. It makes no sense besides like Canyon, but I don't even use him in Canyon. So that's just a funny story. But let's get back to the meat of the video. I've talked enough about just honorable mention stuff. But the number one, I'm just gonna come out number one, is Cleopatra. Now, I am very grateful that it does not show me how many sculptures I put into her. But when I first started playing the game, I put gold heads into Cleo because I was not planning on playing long term. The way I actually discovered Rise of Kingdoms was it was in college, right around COVID actually, and you can see recruited her at 4.7, so like literally 2 weeks after COVID kind of broke out. I got kicked out of my dorm, and like I said, wasn't planning on playing. I downloaded an app where you could just play games and earn money. Like they'd pay you like get to City Hall 17 and make $12. So I would just do that on random games. Rise of Kingdoms was one of them. And I ended up getting Cleopatra in like one of those first events and put gold heads into her because I wanted to hit barbarians with her, which is just the stupidest thing you could ever even think about. And I don't know how many gold heads I put into her, but anytime I got gold heads, I just put them right into Cleo because she was the only legendary commander I had at the time. And so now looking back on it, like that just absolutely sucks. I don't know how many I put into her, but obviously her being a gathering commander, complete waste of sculptures, and just overall just a funny story, but a huge regret because I didn't know what I was doing. So that's my number one. Number two is probably going to be Edward of Woodstock. Now, when I migrated back to KVK2, I think the first time, I was like, I need an Archer March, and I don't have anything besides YSG. So I invested into Edward. I put 49 gold heads into him, spun the Wheel of Fortune for 61 heads. Complete waste, absolute waste of sculptures. Even, like, I didn't even finish out the first skill. I have 4-4-1-1. I don't know what I was doing. Although it is nice for Bastions now. If I am in a KVK with Bastions, I have some good Bastions for him that I can, you know, put skills into. So I guess it's not all downside, but pretty big downside. Another really huge regret of mine is Sargon the Great. Oh my goodness, he had so much hype. I can't even explain how much hype was around him from other content creators, and I fell for it. I was like, I don't really know. I mean, there's a ton of hype about it, so I max spun the wheel a couple times. I put 150 heads in him. I think I spent around 70 to 90,000 gems on the Wheel of Fortune. And I have another 40 heads here. I'm saving this so that way if I'm in a like Bastion situation, I can choose which one I want to select with that. If it's this one, I'll just upgrade it. But if it's one of these, I'll just unlock them and hope for the best. But yeah, 70 to 90,000 gems in a Sargon, and I will never use him. I don't think I've really used him besides dueling when I first got him. And it was just horrible situation. Huge waste of stuff there. And this one might even be worse than Cleo. This one is Charlemagne. Now, if you didn't know how you unlock him through KVK2. So I unlocked him in KVK2, and I was like, huh, Charlemagne, I know he's a King of Hearts, and he might be good. He has a cool skill, and oh, holy crap, 1400 damage factor. That's really good. And obviously, didn't know what I was talking about. 40 gold heads into him, complete waste, just absolutely hilarious waste of sculptures there. Just overall awful. Now this one isn't even about sculptures. This is just an overall waste. I believe it's on Alexander the Great. So if you didn't know this, when you're upgrading a commander's star level, so if I come into here, you can use stars, but you can also use commander sculptures. And I was out of stars and I was like, oh, I need to level him up. So I'm going to use something else. And I used 467 Ethel sculptures. This was before you could trade her in. So 467. I'm curious to see how many credits that would have been. 467. So we'll scroll all the way down. I don't even have that many, but probably around 2.8 million credits, which just sucks. I mean, yeah, at this point, like 30 million, 2.8, it's not a huge deal. I'll get that eventually, but like, thinking back on that, there's been times where I've needed passports and I've had to sell a ton of stuff, and not be able to get passports. So thinking back on that, 2.8 million credits, whatever it might have been, that would have come in handy. And I just absolutely wasted that on Alex. And let me show you how little you actually get from this. Like if I show you the Ethel sculptures, we'll see where she's at. I can do it with any of them, but so you can see right here, you get 5% and 10 XP. So if you do all these, you get 60 XP. So that is the same as that's 1/10 of the level that you get from one level 1 star. So just for reference, like that is horrible value. That is absolutely horrendous. So 600 for 6 stars and 60 for 6 Ethel sculptures. So complete waste of stars. And at that time I needed stars. Now I don't, but at the time I definitely needed them as a player that was really struggling in the early game. Absolutely awful situation. Now another commander that I've invested into that wasn't as much of a regret, but at this point it's like, okay, well yeah, that now kind of sucks, is Salon. Similar situation as Edward. When I migrated back to KVK2, I needed another March, and Salon was an option. I think I used Salon and Minamoto. I think I also used Salon and YSG for a while, which don't get me started on that. That is not a good March, but I have him at 5-4-4-1, so you know, not usable at this point. But if I went back to KVK2 again, if I was able to, you could, you know, put him at 5-5-5-1 and he'd be good. I mean, it's a good situation for Bastions, you know, having the skill damage reduction. This one is typically a good skill in Season of Conquest. So this one I at least have some value from, you know, 2.5 times more skill damage reduction and then double the amount of counterattack damage reduction. So at this point, it is pretty nice having that skill, but overall was a pretty big waste of sculptures. Put 186 universals into him and then 94 from the Wheel of Fortune. I believe at one point he was Mightiest Governor, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. Let me know down below, but he's Wheel of Fortune now if he wasn't always. I feel like he might have been Mightiest Governor at some point, but I spun the wheel for him, put universals into him, and don't use him. But like I said, Bastion comes in handy when you have Bastions. Now another one people might talk about is Herald, and Herald has actually been a very good commander for me. I used him quite a bit when I first entered into Season of Conquest. He's 27 million kills, so he has been doing or had done pretty well. However, I used him mostly for city popping. In the open field, like, yeah, he can be okay, and if he gets targeted and surrounded, he does some AoE, but overall, just not a great commander, and, you know, he kind of takes more damage the more damage he takes, so that's kind of backwards of what you want it to do. However, like I said, he's a good city popping commander. I used him and Alex. Alex and Herald did very, very well because you have 2 instant proc commanders, and, you know, that's always a good situation for, you know, doing instant proc damage and city popping. But I kind of regret him at this point. You know, definitely if I had the opportunity, I would trade those sculptures into something else at this point. But I had the swap event and I didn't do it on Herald because I was like, oh, maybe I'll use him as a city popping commander again in the future. I don't know. But overall, not a great investment. Definitely would not recommend it at this point in time. But I got a decent amount of use out of him. 27 million kills isn't too shabby whatsoever. If I compare that to, you know, like a newer commander like Ragnar I have 9.4. So I have quite a bit more work with Ragnar to do to match what I did with Herald. So definitely not a horrible investment at the time, but, you know, running Pakal Herald, I even ran some rallies when I had max tech at one point, or not max tech, but like decent tech at the time in a lower KVK. But overall, not a horrible investment at the time, but definitely not amazing, you know. But overall, these are some of the worst mistakes I have made in Rise of Kingdoms. Comment down below what you guys think are the worst mistakes that you have made. If you think of anything worse than my Cleo or my Edward of Woodstock or my Charlemagne, let me know down below what you guys have made mistakes on to make me feel a little bit better. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. I appreciate all for checking out this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.